welcome to the latest edition of Farage Against the Machine, my topical podcast. And today we're very lucky to have talked to John Bolton, who's just been appointed as National Security Advisor. Well, a few weeks ago, I was at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference held just outside DC. It's the big annual get-together of conservative activists from all over the United States of America. And I bumped into John Bolton, who previously has appeared on my LBC's shows, and a man who is never backwards at coming forwards. And I asked him why it was that President Trump had come back to CPAC for the second year running. Indeed, the first sitting Republican president to do this since way back in the days of Ronald Reagan.
Well, I think it's good sense for any administration that relies on conservatives to be here at this event. This is the premier conservative event in the United States. It's the closest thing we have to a party conference in the United Kingdom. Our conventions are not like that at all, but this is where the activists come. They're obviously focused on the November elections this year. And so I think the president reminding them of the accomplishments of his first year and what it means if Nancy Pelosi becomes Speaker or Chuck Schumer becomes Majority Leader of the Senate, to inspire them to really step up their game looking forward to November.
Now, with the midterm elections coming up in November this year, it's very important for the president to keep control of both the houses. And I asked John Bolton, what were the issues that he thought would determine those elections?
Well, I think, the polls are all over the lot at this point, but I think it's clear his base is holding, and I think as people see the effect of the tax cuts and see the effect of his deregulatory policies, see the economy continue to grow, that has to have a positive effect.
I also asked John Bolton for an assessment. How had Trump done during his first year, not just in terms of domestic policy, but particularly in terms of international relations?
Well, I think there are going to be a number of national security challenges. No president really can plan ahead in that respect because they come out of nowhere, but North Korea, Iran are looming challenges. He's got to decide whether to get out of the Iran nuclear deal. I certainly hope he does. He's got to decide how to deal with North Korea, which is very, very close to having deliverable nuclear weapons. And there are plenty of other threats that we're going to see as well. So people generally don't believe national security is as high priority an issue as it always turns out to be in the November elections. I think that'll be true this year, too.
Well, now we've got the announcement that General McMaster has been replaced by John Bolton as the National Security Advisor. I'm beginning to wonder whether the short interview I did with him at CPAC was in fact an audition for the job. My sense of this is that Trump has surprised himself how well he's done on the international stage. The very fact that there is now the prospect of talks taking place with the North Koreans, I think has convinced Trump that actually you take a firm line, and because of the sheer might and size and power of America, things begin to happen. I think Trump has tasted a bit of success in terms of international affairs and relations, and I think now, by putting John Bolton in this role, we're going to see America being tougher on all levels. Iran, North Korea, you name it. I think Trump has made it clear that he now wants to surround himself by people with very much the same ideology that he's got. Years ago in the United Kingdom, when Margaret Thatcher was picking ministers, she used to choose people who she called people like us. That is exactly what Donald Trump is doing now. And I also think that everything John Bolton told me and this appointment means that one of the things Trump will do in the run-up to the November midterm elections is to make national security and America's place on the world stage a centerpiece of that election campaign, and point out that by contrast, the Democrats look weak. Well, how the rest of the world will look at the appointment of John Bolton is very, very interesting. I suspect that in Brussels and in London, there'll be a slight nervousness because this man is forthright in everything that he does. This man will be seen as a vindication of Trump's get tough policy. And one thing I do know, this man is no fan of the European Union.
We will make America great again.